today we're going to be looking at the signs of low-value men. And we've got some great material to work with, the power moves, and a really fascinating YouTube video from Sadia Psychology.
Yeah, it's amazing how these sources kind of connect psychology and behavior to help you really understand what makes a high-value person.
Yeah.
And I guess on the flip side of that, what might kind of show that they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, so the power moves really emphasizes emotional intelligence as like the foundation of a high-value man.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, when you think about it, self-awareness, managing emotions, understanding others, and building strong relationships are all super important for, you know, success in your personal life and with other people. And the power moves uses some interesting examples to kind of illustrate this point.
Yeah, like the Harvey Weinstein example.
Yeah.
I mean, he had power, he had wealth.
Right.
But you know, his complete lack of understanding of how to treat women respectfully and his inability to even read basic social cues. Those are classic signs of low emotional intelligence.
Exactly. And, you know, it's a reminder that real value goes way beyond just, you know, those external things. Someone can be successful in one area of life and still lack that emotional maturity that really makes them a high-value person.
So it sounds like lack of emotional intelligence is a major red flag. The power moves also talks about the importance of drive and purpose, and it's not just about, you know, ambition in your career, right?
No, it's about having that inner fire that kind of propels you forward. You know, having a passion for something, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. And what the power move suggests is that low-value men often lack this inherent drive. They might kind of live vicariously through other people, you know, sports figures, celebrities, instead of pursuing their own passions.
It reminds me of that neutered Brian video mentioned in the book. You know, that guy who seemed to just find satisfaction in consuming things rather than creating or contributing.
Oh, yeah.
It really highlights that lack of drive, you know,
Yeah.
manifesting his apathy and lack of self-care.
A perfect example, and, you know, this apathy can kind of seep into every area of a man's life, including his relationships.
So we're seeing this pattern here. A lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of drive. What about ego? The power moves really digs into the dangers of a fragile ego, especially when it's combined with a fixed mindset.
It's a really powerful combination when someone has a fragile ego. They're so easily defensive. Any feedback, they take it as a personal attack. And with a fixed mindset, you know, they believe that they are who they are. There's no room for improvement.
It's that "do you know who I am" attitude without any real substance behind it.
Right.
They're constantly trying to prove themselves, but never actually doing the work to grow.
Exactly.
And the power moves also talks about apathy as a silent killer of attraction.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Apathy can be incredibly destructive. You know, it's that lack of care for oneself, for relationships, for growth.
Yeah, it's like they're just going through the motions, not really invested in anything. Like that guy from the movie, The Good Girl, you know?
Yeah.
Just so passive and apathetic to the point where it's completely unappealing.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about submissiveness, because the power moves talks about this fine line between being a nice guy and being a pushover.
Right, and it's not about, you know, assertive versus aggressive.
Right.
It's about having a backbone.
Absolutely. Low-value men who are excessively submissive often lack the courage to enforce boundaries. They allow themselves to be disrespected, whether it's by, you know, partners, friends, even their bosses.
Yeah, and they end up appearing weak and insignificant, like that character from Fargo,
Oh, yeah.
who was so submissive that people just completely dismissed him.
Yeah. You know, it's about respecting yourself enough to stand up for what you believe in.
Absolutely. And speaking of respect, let's talk about neediness, which the power moves straight up calls a major repellent. They talk about the scarcity mindset and how it leads to chasing women and seeking validation.
Yeah, the scarcity mindset, this belief that there's only so much love and attention to go around, can lead to some really unhealthy behaviors. And low-value men often exhibit this kind of desperate need for validation, especially from women. You know, they chase after them, trying to prove their worth, instead of focusing on building that value from within.
Like that elevator anecdote from the power moves, where that manager was practically throwing himself at the woman trying to comfort her anxiety.
Oh, gosh.
It was so transparent and so unattractive.
Yeah, it was so cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really highlights the importance of, you know, self-assurance, inner confidence. This kind of ties into our next point, power moves. It makes a great distinction between high-value men who have a strong internal reference point and, you know, those who are always looking to others to kind of prop up their self-esteem.
It's like they're always chasing approval instead of, you know, building that solid foundation of self-belief.
Right.
Do you think that's connected to like the idea of locus of control?
Absolutely. Locus of control is all about, who you believe is steering the ship of your life. High-value men. They tend to have an internal locus of control. They believe they have the power to shape their own destiny.
While those with like an external locus of control, they often feel helpless and give up easily, believing that, external forces are in control.
Yeah.
It's a powerful concept. And speaking of powerful, I think we need to address the elephant in the room. Pornography offers this intense gratification without the fear of rejection. It's almost like this shortcut to pleasure, without the challenges and vulnerabilities of real life intimacy.
Right. And that can be a dangerous trap, leading some men to avoid real world challenges and, opportunities to grow personally. They become comfortable with the fantasy and they lose the motivation to kind of improve themselves and engage in meaningful relationships.
And she briefly touches upon women in pornography, noting that it's often used more for the partner's pleasure rather than self-exploration, which could lead to some, skewed perceptions of their own desires and needs.
Yeah, it raises an important question about how, societal norms and expectations around sexuality might be influencing both men and women in potentially unhealthy ways.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of heavy stuff here. What are some practical takeaways you think are important for our listener to consider?
Well, I think first and foremost, self-awareness is key. Taking some time to reflect on your strengths, your weaknesses, your patterns of behavior can be incredibly insightful.
And the power moves really emphasizes setting goals, having a sense of purpose.
Yes.
What are you passionate about? What do you want to achieve? Having those clear goals can give you direction and motivation.
Exactly. And remember, emotional intelligence isn't something you're just born with. It's a set of skills you can develop. And working on your self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management, these can have a huge impact on your life.
And on the topic of relationships, working to overcome neediness, developing a secure attachment style is crucial.
It's about feeling confident and secure in yourself and your relationships, not needing that constant validation from others.
So it sounds like there's a lot to unpack here, but the overall message seems to be that, becoming a higher value person is this ongoing journey of self-discovery and growth.
Precisely. It's not about being perfect, but about striving to be the best version of yourself.
For me, what really hit home was that idea of self-control.
Yeah.
Sadia Psychology said, and I quote, "A man who has complete and utter self-control and makes responsible decisions that serve him in the long run is truly high value."
Yeah.
I mean, that really resonated with me.
It is a powerful statement because self-control is the foundation for so many other, positive qualities. Discipline, resilience, the ability to delay gratification and to really make choices that align with your long-term goals.
It's about, being in the driver's seat of your own life, not letting your impulses or external influences dictate your choices.
Absolutely. And it connects back to everything we've been talking about today.
And let us know what resonated with you from this deep dive. What are you going to explore further? Until next time, keep diving deep.